Beautiful bread. Nice tight crumb, except for the overproofing. Hello, howdy, and welcome back to another Sourdough Saturday. I'm Catherine, the Aerogarden Homesteader. So, today is part 2, or take 2, of the sandwich bread. So I'm actually going to modify my recipe and use the proportions from the other recipe and see if we can find something that works kind of meeting in the middle maybe. So the other one had good flavor, it didn't go as quickly as it was supposed to. So I used the same proportions. This one will only make 1 loaf instead of 2, and this one also uses more sourdough starter. So I will make sure to link both my original recipe, which is just a straight up sourdough recipe, and I will link the sandwich dough recipe so that you can see how they both come together. Okay, I need about 45 grams of vital wheat gluten. There we go. Yeah, it should have been 40 grams, not 45, but oh well. Right, let's get this in here. Let's start measuring out the rest of the stuff. So I always get it in gear. Okay. This is the sourdough starter from last night that I started. It's 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of water, 80 grams of starter. So that is a vast difference compared to the 8 grams the original, or at least the original sourdough recipe, the original sandwich dough recipe called for. Okay, so I'm going to do the milk first. I'm going to do 120 grams of milk. This way if I am low, which I might be, I guess I wasn't low. Okay, we'll just make the rest up in water. So I need 160 in water. That means I should have 280 total. There you go. Zero that out. 13 grams of salt. Yeah. 35 grams of honey. Oops, that doesn't always zero out. Okay, this ought to be fun. I always hate measuring honey, but at least it's going straight into the container. You can use sugar if you want, or maple syrup. Just make sure you check to see. I don't think it's a 1-to-1 conversion. I think honey technically is a little sweeter, tastes sweeter, so you might need to put in a little more sugar to match. Okay. I think I'm done with this. Just want to kind of dissolve the salt a little bit and get the honey up off the bottom. Now I can add, get the starter in, the flour, get all the other stuff in, and just get it mixed. This will still call for butter, but that goes in after everything else has been incorporated. You want to develop your gluten before adding your fats, because the fats will actually inhibit some of the gluten formation. I think it has to do with the fats surrounding the flour and preventing the water from accessing it, because it takes water to activate the gluten. There you go. Got to get every little drop out, because that is your yeast. Oops, I need this. Definitely need that. Now obviously this will be the noisy part, so I will cut this back, but I will show you at the steps, the sort of mileposts that we're looking for. Okay, so you can see it has come together. It's only been like a minute and a bit. I'm going to go clean up my gears a little bit, and then I will put this on higher so that it can knead and come together and be a little less sticky. See, it's just breaking apart. So we're going to develop the gluten now. Okay, so it's really starting to come together now, but I think it still needs a little longer. It is also a little bit of a stiffer dough than the last one, so we'll see. But we have to add butter still, so let me bring you in a little closer. So that's what it's looking like. See, it's got some stretch to it, but it's also still kind of tearing a little, so it definitely needs a little longer. Still a little sticky. Okay, so it's been going for 8 minutes, I think. It's coming together a little bit better, but it's still ripping apart. So what I am going to do is, because this doesn't seem to be hitting the checkpoints I want it to hit, I'm actually going to let it rest for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to let it knead. So I'm going to let some of the resting do the gluten formation, and then come back to it and add the butter. So we'll need to add 55 grams of butter, and I guess I wasn't done with my scale. So I will be back in 10 minutes. Okay, so sitting here for 10 minutes has really made a difference. I don't know if you can see, there's a lot more gluten formation going on, less tearing. There is a little bit of tearing, but it's a lot better. So this is what we're looking for. I'm going to move you back just a little bit. I'm going to have to get this going, but I'm going to, like I mentioned earlier, I have butter. I actually am going to put it on the scale, and I'm going to take off 55 grams. So instead of me trying to figure out how much to cut, I'm just going to do it by subtraction. And I think that will be the better way to go. Now technically, I think because this is a 113 gram stick, according to the package, it should be about half the stick. So that should be a 1/4 cup of butter. I know everything else has kind of been in weight, but this is going to be loud, so I will stop talking. I will probably speed through this because this is going to be a little bit boring if I'm not really saying anything, but I'm going to get the butter going one pat at a time. So this is the same way I did in the last sandwich bread recipe. So one pat at a time until I have hit my 55 grams. Just make sure I get all that butter incorporated. Now I do want to make sure that as I'm adding each pat, I add it in after the first pat has been incorporated, so I don't just have a pile of butter all over the place. And it will break the dough a little bit. You'll see it go from smooth to shaggy. So I'm going to give it a little bit of kneading time just to smoothen it back up, and then I will get the bulk fermentation going. Okay, looks good. So, got my handy dandy bowl. I have oiled it a little bit. Try to keep the oil light because I don't need the oil in my dough. I just want the dough to not stick. So I'm going to get all of this cleaned off and in my bowl. So the next stage is going to be the stretches and folds. I will do, so when I did my loaf, I think I did a stretch and fold every hour, 3 or 4 times. I kind of liked the half-hour interval, so I think I will do that for this one again and just see how it goes. I will evaluate after the third one. I think it should only take 3, but I guess we'll find out. So it's really in there. Okay, there we go. It's in there. It's all ready to go. Just going to ball it up a little bit. And then I will do the first stretch and fold in half an hour. So I will see you then. Okay, it's been an hour. Stretching. Actually, it's been half an hour. Stretch and fold number 1. Oh, that's nice. Remember, use a wet hand. Just pull it up, fold it over, pull it up. The more you pull, the tighter it gets. So just pull as much as you can without tearing it. Okay, here we go. Let that go. See you back in half an hour. Time for stretch and fold number 2. So again, just going to pull and flip it over on itself. And the last one. So I'm going to Yeah, see, that's gotten nice and tight. I am going to let this rise, do its bulk fermentation for another 2.5 hours at least. So I'll have to see how it's doing and just evaluate. It's a little cold in my kitchen. That's probably why the first recipe didn't work so well. So hopefully with more starter in here it will work a little better. I can already see there's some bubbles forming, so it's just a matter of giving it time. So there you go. I will give it time. It's been about 4.5 hours, so it's nice and puffy. I ended up putting it in my dehydrator just so that I could get it to rise. It's kind of cold in my house today. Get this out. I'm going to work a little bit of pre-shaping, try to get some, knock some of the air out. Well, that's it for probably about 5 minutes. Let it relax a little bit again, and then I will get it shaped up. So pre-shaping and 5-minute rest is kind of a new thing I've been trying, just to see if it helps make it a little easier to shape. So I guess we'll see. So I'm going to make sure it doesn't stick on the bottom. I want to get rough rectangular shape and then just kind of roll it and press. There we go. I'm going to seal the bottom up. I just want to tuck these ends under and then seal it up by pressing it again. Okay. There we go. Nicely shaped. So I am going to get this covered in saran wrap. I will probably make sure it's oiled. I will probably put this back in my dehydrator and get it to come up probably 1/2 inch or so above the side of the lip here. And then I will put it in the fridge. So the next time you see me, it will probably be when this goes in the oven or after it comes out of the oven at some point. So this bread will be going with dinner tomorrow night. Dinner is going to be Swiss steak, so keep an eye out for that video. I don't think it'll be too much longer after this one, but you never know how things pan out. But yeah, this will be nice to have fresh bread with dinner. So this was with an overnight rise as well in the fridge, and as you can see, it rose fairly well. I think I overproofed it again, but that's on me. That's not on the recipe. So I will put this in the oven. I will use the same directions from the other recipe, so 425 for 15 minutes, then drop it down to 350 for another, however long it takes, 15 to 20 minutes. Then I'll show you when it's done. The sourdough bread turned out very nice, so combining the two recipes to work in my kitchen was the way to go. I didn't have anything against the other recipe, it just wasn't enough starter to work in my colder kitchen. By combining the two recipes together, I was able to get a really nice sandwich dough and sandwich bread. Don't be afraid to change things, don't be afraid to experiment. So I don't know if this will be my go-to sandwich bread recipe, but I can continue playing with it and see. I did overproof it a little, that's on me. I let it go for 4 hours on the second proof before checking it, so that was just a little too long. I hope you found this video useful, seeing how to modify a recipe, how to play with the different ingredients to get what you want. If you did find it useful, make sure you like and share so other people can also find it. And I hope to see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.